when we're talking about, for the dialogue we're about to have, the ICE raids taking place in LA and them hitting a Home Depot twice in the same day, you recognize that these are vulnerable populations. We're talking about homeless people in DC, and day laborers, really, in Los Angeles. But they're both vulnerable populations. They don't have, power to push back. They're economically disenfranchised. If people had a lot of money, they would not be homeless. And if they had enough money, they would not be homeless. And if people had enough money, they would not be day laborers in front of Home Depot hoping for someone to pick them up and put them on a job site. But these ICE raids is crazy, to me, and to a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump. They believed him when he said he was going to go after the worst of the worst. They believed him when he said Mexico is sending all these people and they're not sending their best and they're sending blah, blah, blah. And so those people expected the lies that he told them to be true because they believed him initially. So they wanted numbers, right? They wanted this administration to do something. They called the Democrats the do-nothing Democrats. Donald Trump was the stark contrast to that. And if they felt immigration was the reason that they weren't thriving, then because they had been convinced of that lie, then they wanted to see some numbers. So Donald Trump felt pressure to put some numbers up, right? Which he in turn translated that pressure to these agents and gave them an unlimited budget to hire whoever out of whatever corner of the United States, regardless of how they feel, regardless of their ideologies or their sensitivities or their proclivities or whatever. And regardless of their biases and their prejudices. And when it turned out that there weren't actually a bunch of criminals, sure, there was some. But as we know, you and I know, Q, immigrants commit crimes at a much lower rate than citizens of the United States. And as we know that, they're not criminals. They don't have criminal records. Some do, of course, but, the majority don't. The line, the goalpost shifted from, violent criminal offenders to them simply being in the country illegally being the crime. Completely overlooking the fact that immigrants made this country what it is. Look at the inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Okay? Immigration is a part of the fabric of this society, particularly along the southern border, all those states. And to then demonize people for being immigrants or for not being citizens, whichever way you want to look at it, is crazy work, because it's not very easy to become a citizen. The presidency changes every 4 years or so. So the process changes every 4 years, and paperwork gets shifted back. It takes years, even if everything worked perfectly. So some people keep getting kicked down to step one. But, we're talking about these ICE raids. Now they're just trying to get whoever. These aren't criminals. These are people actually working. They're not freeloaders. They're not stealing. No crimes. They're actually working. They're trying to get jobs. I've used day laborers before to help me with my shower. The kindest people you would ever, they came into my home with my son. Kind, good people. I spoke my best broken Spanish as I could, and they helped me out. I wish I could do it again, man. I just don't have any projects right now. But let me get to this article. I don't want to pontificate too long. This is just very frustrating for both of us, and I know you got to say some stuff too, Q. All right, this is from the LA Times. It's pretty long. I'm not even sure if I'll get through this. I'm so sorry, Q, but we'll make it up. All right, federal agents detained day laborers outside of a Home Depot in Van Nuys during 2 raids on Friday morning, raising questions over whether their actions may violate a court order that bans agents from using racial profiling to carry out indiscriminate immigration arrests. The operation, took place around 7:35 a.m. and then again at 11:50 a.m. outside the Home Depot on Roscoe Boulevard, according to Majayan Ortiz, executive director of Instituto de Educación Popular del Sur de California. Sorry if I said that wrong. Which runs a rescue center for day laborers directly next to the store. The Department of Homeland Security, which includes Customs and Border Protection and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, confirmed the operations in a statement to the Times on Saturday, calling them targeted immigration raids that resulted in the arrest of 7 undocumented immigrants from Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said 4 of those individuals had criminal records, including for driving under the influence of alcohol, disorderly conduct, and failing to adhere to previous removal orders. None of those sound violent to me. All right, anyway, quote, what makes someone a target for immigration enforcement is that they are legally in the U.S., not their skin color, race, or ethnicity, unquote, McLaughlin said. Quote, America's brave men and women removing murderers, MS-13 gang members, pedophiles, rapists, truly the worst of the worst from the Golden State communities, unquote. U.S. Border Patrol Sector Chief Greg Bovino had told Fox News on Friday that federal agents always abide by law during enforcement operations. Quote, in Los Angeles right now, today, as a matter of fact, we have agents out on the streets right now making apprehensions as you and I are speaking, unquote. He goes on to say they're doing that again legally, ethically, and morally, unquote. A number of unmarked white vans started circling the parking lot, and immigration agents began, quote, grabbing people first, then asking people for ID, unquote, said Ortiz, adding that our organization has confirmed 10 people were taken. Quote, the agents came straight for the day labor center, unquote. It is very clear they are targeting day laborers and they are targeting the organization, unquote. This from Ortiz. She goes on to say that immigration agents conducted another raid near Home Depot in Cypress Park on Saturday. Ortiz said she was aware of a half a dozen arrests during the incident. Further details were not immediately available. On July 11th, the U.S. District Judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking federal agents in Southern and Central California from targeting people based on their race, language, vocation, or location without reasonable suspicion that they are here in the U.S. illegally. At the time, immigration advocates believe the order would legally bar agents from roving such places as Home Depots and car washes, indiscriminately stopping brown-skinned, Spanish-speaking workers. The temporary restraining order was upheld last Friday by the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. The Trump administration has since appealed to the Supreme Court, saying the ruling, quote, threatens to upend immigration officials' ability to enforce the immigration laws in the Central District of California by hanging the prospect of contempt over every investigative stop, unquote. All right, Q, a couple of minutes for you. The floor is yours. Any thoughts here?
I often wish we were less informed.
Yeah.
I often wish we were less intelligent and less informed. Because we could figure this out without the information available to us just by being intelligent and having eyes that work. But we're informed and intelligent, which means we're off most of the time. And to tell us that they're not targeting people and that they're being ethical and moral is an insult to our intelligence. Do they know that we see all these videos of all these agents beating people to the ground for simply being present? They're not catching them in the process of committing some crime. In most cases, the numbers and the data shows that these are not people with violent criminal records. So they say after somebody was driving under the influence, in the next sentence, MS-13 and rapist and all these trigger words to make people think that they're getting the worst of the worst off the streets. And it's just not true. And we know better. And they continue to lie to us and to their constituents. But they're kind of not really lying. They're telling them what they want to hear. Because what we've learned, Ramses, over these years is that most of the supporters of this are not defending Donald Trump. They're defending themselves. Yeah. The things that they love about him are things that they see about themselves in him. So they don't want us to say bad things about him, because then we're saying bad things about them. So they like and welcome these lies so they can sleep at night and so they can present themselves as decent Americans. Hey, we're not racist. We would never want people to be targeted because of their race. They're being targeted because there's criminals and they're here illegally. And we just all know better than that, man. It's so upsetting, bro.